Persian debt, yeah, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bible Q&A. Today we're discussing, what is integrity? Integrity can be defined as being someone of principle. You have certain beliefs and you stick with them. Such a virtue is important, especially in our time, because the temporary trends of this world have to be ignored by righteous children of God, according to 1 John chapter 2 verses 15 to 17. There are many biblical examples of people who had integrity and people who didn't have integrity. For example, God is a man of integrity because he doesn't change from his principles. As it was said in Numbers, God is not a man that he should lie, neither the Son of Man that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do it? Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good? Numbers chapter 23, verse 19. We can also look at Malachi chapter 3, verse 6, and Psalms chapter 25, verse 8. He isn't wavy and unpredictable, unlike Satan the devil, in 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 8 to 9. This is because he lives from everlasting to everlasting, according to Psalms chapter 90, verse 2, and 93, verse 2. He can assure that his judgments and decrees will stand because he has time on his side. As it was said in Isaiah, "For the Lord of hosts hath purposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back?" Isaiah chapter 14, verse 27. We can also look at Isaiah chapter 55, verses 8 to 11. Other people who showed integrity were David, according to 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 4, and Job, according to Job chapter 1, verses 1 and 8. An example of someone who didn't have integrity was Esau, because he sold his birthright to Jacob in Genesis chapter 25, verses 29 to 34. Many people would argue that Jacob was wicked and crafty for making that kind of deal, but a man of integrity wouldn't have even accepted an offer like that. Thousands of years later, the author of Hebrews used the story to advise all Christians. Let no one become immoral or unspiritual like Esau, who for a single meal sold his rights as the older son. Afterward, he wanted to receive his father's blessing, but he was turned back because he could not find any way to change what he had done, even though in tears he looked for it. Hebrews chapter 12 verses 16 to 17 according to the Good News Bible. Someone with integrity would reject the deal and ignore the hunger that was troubling them. The biggest contrast between behavior with integrity and behavior without integrity can be seen with Jesus Christ and Satan. Jesus Christ had integrity because he stuck with his principles, including obeying his Father. As it was said in John, "For I came down from heaven, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me." John chapter 6, verse 38. We can also look at these other verses in John. Chapter 12, verses 49 to 50, chapter 14, verse 28, and chapter 10, verses 17 to 18. Temptations couldn't change that, according to Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 to 11. The opinions of others couldn't change that, according to Matthew chapter 15, verses 12 to 14. Jesus knew what was right, and he wouldn't change his beliefs. Satan the devil, on the other hand, was the exact opposite. He was just like Esau. He gave up big blessings to try to rule the world, and eventually he was kicked out of his job, according to Revelation chapter 12 verses 1 to 12 and Revelation chapter 19 verses 11 to 21. He wasn't a man of principle because he wanted to be like God, even though he wasn't given that role, according to Isaiah chapter 14 verses 12 to 15 and Ezekiel chapter 28 verses 15 to 17. Integrity is important because it helps us to do things properly and in order, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40. When we have integrity, we will not commit sins like fornication or adultery because we will know how to stick with God's principles to have peace. When we have integrity, we will not prioritize the wrong things, like Martha had done in Luke chapter 10, verses 38 to 42, caring more about the food that the congregation would eat than the message that the congregation would be blessed by. James the Apostle even spoke about this matter. "Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls." James chapter 1 verse 21. Of course, having integrity is harder than it sounds. There are many people who may pose threats to your integrity. For example, when Job was being tempted, his wife said, "Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die." Job chapter 2 verse 9. Sometimes situations you find yourself in can pose threats to your integrity. David had opportunities to kill Saul in 1 Samuel chapter 24 verses 1 to 24 and chapter 26 verses 1 to 25, and he was encouraged by his men to do so. That's why the apostles had to have special sessions with their disciples on this matter, according to Acts chapter 14 verse 22. However, going through these challenges will provide us with big blessings. As the psalmist said, "Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly, and worketh righteousness, and speaketh the truth in his heart." Psalms chapter 15 verses 1 to 2. We can also look at Proverbs chapter 11 verse 3 and chapter 20 verse 7. Thus, if we know we don't have integrity, we should pray to God to give us experiences that will help build it up for us, according to Hebrews chapter 12 verses 1 to 13. As Christians, we must be able to deal with these challenges and overcome them, according to Proverbs chapter 4 verse 26, Job chapter 4 verse 4, and Isaiah chapter 35 verse 3. And that is where I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A. What is integrity? Integrity is having principles, morals, virtues, and sticking with them. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.